Today, I would like to talk to you about the Holocaust. For years, I have been deeply interested in this topic. Books based on the actual events of the Holocaust have always held my attention more than any others, especially Anne Frank's diary, The Boy on the Wooden Box, The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and many more. These books hold a special place in my heart because they are based on true events, and knowing what human beings are capable of doing to one another and what those who suffered were able to endure and overcome is incredibly inspiring to me. So, what is the Holocaust? The Holocaust was the systematic, state-sponsored persecution and murder of 6 million Jews by Adolf Hitler, the Nazi regime, and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945. What does the word Holocaust even mean? The word Holocaust comes from ancient Greek and means burnt offering. Long before World War II, the term was used to describe the death of a large group of people. Since 1945, it has become almost synonymous with the murder of Europe's Jewish populations. Jewish people often use another word, Shoah, which is Hebrew for catastrophe. Its biblical root, Shoah Umashoah, means wasteness and desolation. Many Jews prefer the term Shoah because Holocaust implies a sacrifice or offering. They reject the idea that their massacre was any kind of offering. It was not religious, purposeful, or symbolic. It was destruction. What caused the Holocaust? Although many factors contributed, the most direct cause was the Nazi regime's determined goal to exterminate the Jews. Nazi anti-Semitism must be understood within a broader context of long-standing hostility toward Jewish people, combined with the rise of modern racism and extreme nationalism. Anti-Semitism has often been called the world's oldest hatred because it repeatedly reappears, repackaged to fit the fears or politics of different eras, using Jews as convenient scapegoats for larger societal problems. How did the Holocaust begin? It started small, through words, propaganda, laws, and acts of exclusion that escalated over time. Between 1933 and 1939, life for Jewish people in Germany became increasingly restricted and intolerable. The goal was to force them out, not to kill them yet. But in 1938, the Night of Broken Glass marked a violent turning point. Jewish homes, synagogues, and businesses were destroyed, and thousands of Jewish people were imprisoned in concentration camps. By the time World War II began in September 1939, nearly 250,000 Jews had fled Germany to escape. Germany's invasion of Poland in 1939 brought new brutality and more radical phase of the persecution. Historians still debate exactly when Hitler decided on the total extermination of the Jews. No signed order has ever been found, but most believe the decision was made sometime in late 1941. Under the codename Achtung Reinhard, the Nazis built extermination camps in occupied Poland. There, victims were murdered in gas chambers using diesel exhaust fumes almost immediately upon arrival. Only a small number were kept alive to aid in the killing process. At least 1.75 million Jews were murdered during Achtung Reinhard alone. Beginning in 1942, Jews were forced into overcrowded cattle cars and transported east, with many being sent to Auschwitz, the largest and most infamous camp. Auschwitz functioned as both a labor camp and extermination camp. Upon arrival, people were selected based on age, health, and ability to work. Those deemed unfit were gassed immediately. But those who survived selection faced brutal labor, starvation, disease, and abuse. This system is often described as extermination through labor. By late 1944, as Allied forces closed in, the persecution of Jews began to slow. However, this did not mean safety. During the final months of the war, the Nazis forced prisoners on what became known as death marches. Long, grueling evacuations in freezing conditions that killed thousands through exhaustion, starvation, and exposure. Even after liberation, many survivors continue to die from malnutrition, disease, and the lasting effects of their suffering. Why does the Shoah matter today? The Shoah teaches us that hatred, especially when supported by power, can destroy entire communities. It warns us how quickly prejudice can turn into violence and how silence from bystanders can allow evil to grow. When we study this history, we honor the victims by refusing to let their suffering be forgotten. Reflecting on the Shoah isn't easy, but it is necessary. History challenges us to be aware, empathetic, and courageous. By remembering the past, we help protect the future. Thank you for your attention.